To be honest with you, I absolutely hated Christians. I was raised as a pastor's son, and so I saw how people acted on Sunday, and then I heard how they act the rest of the week. And that wasn't for me. I detested Christians, and at any opportunity, I would do whatever I could to make their lives miserable. One of the things I really liked doing is Christians would walk up to me, knowing who, I was my father's son. Christians from my past, and they'd ask, what are you doing now? Because everybody asks that when you haven't seen each other for a long time. And I would love to tell them I was a porn producer. And at first they'd kind of laugh, they thought that was funny, like I was joking. And I said, no, I'm a porn producer. And I loved when they would throw that in my face and said, how can you do that? And they tried to preach to me, which is what I hated so much about church, is these people who have no business telling me what to do with my life, always telling me what to do with my life. So I would say, wait a second, before you start, let me ask you a question. And I'm not asking for an answer. I just want you to tell me, have you ever looked at it? Have you ever consumed? Don't answer, because if you do, you're probably going to be lying. But we're hand in hand in this. There's a supply and demand thing here. And without the demand, I couldn't be making my living producing the supply.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Yeah, you loved it. And you also love bothering us.
I did.
Sitting on the stage, and been down to several church services, and you spent the night at my house, and my 4-year-old's wondering, well, we're picking up Donny. And I mean, never would I thought in a million years, when I first met you, you kind of threw this out that, you're a porn producer, you're a pastor's kid, and then, we thought we were almost kind of friends, but then there would be times we'd leave these shows, and then you'd go back on our website and just start killing us, and start, why did you do that?
For one, it was a lot of fun, and I could just imagine the steam coming out of JR's ears. Those redheads and their tempers. No, I really liked it because I was seeing you guys as the typical hypocritical Christians who would come and then go back home and be something different. And I would be like, you guys are just here at these shows because you want to hang out with us, you want to party with us, you want to, get autographs from porn stars. You never did any of those things in my view, so I kind of was just making up what I thought you were there for.
Yeah, and talk to me about just, you're shooting porn, you're making, $500,000 a year doing this, you're recruiting girls that have never shot porn before, and talk to me about just the lie real quick of the industry and kind of how it caught up to you eventually. You would find these girls on college campuses or websites, and they come to your house.
Right.
And kind of talk to me, what this lie that you would kind of sell them.
Well, one thing too, I want to say, because it's easy to sit out there and think of, a stereotype of the people who are involved in porn. But these girls, a lot of them already had college degrees, or they were pursuing a college degree. Some were pastors' daughters. I really liked it when that happened, to be honest. I would love to shoot a pastor's daughter. They're not broken people. The ones that I was recruiting, their lives become broken later. But when I would meet them, I would have them come into my house. It was a nice place, and we had photos of ourselves at the Playboy Mansion, and having a good time. And then they'd start to visualize themselves in this picture, And I didn't have to say a word. All I'd have to do is tell them that they can't be involved, Because when you tell something that they can't do something, and they want, especially at the college age level, they want to prove to you that they can. So I do, no, I don't think this is for you. And then, they would be sold. That's all I really would have to do.
Yeah, and then shoot, you're paying them, I think you told me $500 a day, you're making thousands on it, but what would happen months later?
It wouldn't even take months. It would be just weeks later. They'd be calling up and crying and saying, my dad has found me, or my uncle has found me. And I'd warned them about all that before, but they're invincible. They don't think it's ever going to happen to them. And and can you take these photos down off the internet? Can you take that content that we produce down? And I couldn't. I mean, it was out of my hand. It was happening so often that it starts breaking you down inside after a while, because you could justify to yourself that they're signing a 5-page model release, and you're warning them, and you're telling them everything that's going to happen in their life, and they're making a decision for themselves. But eventually, you do have to take responsibility.
And do you think for those people that obviously don't know you, and I have a feeling this kind of caught up to you. I mean, what we didn't talk about was you were married, a Christian wife. You go into the porn industry behind her back. You know, you guys get a divorce. You meet a new girlfriend. You bring her in as a partner. You ruin these basically girls' lives.
Right.
You're making money. You're partying. You're working half the month. But then I had the email I go back to this summer. Craig, I can't do it any longer. If you tell anyone this, I'll deny it. You know, that was the typical Donny. Okay. Well, I'm not posting this one on the website, but and I'm not coming to Jesus either, so don't think you're doing that to me. But I mean, we talk about a transformed life. I saw that as something starting to happen, even though you're actually denying that. And I remember one night going to your blog, and you posted this thing about all your doubts and why you never become a Christian.
Right.
Talk to me about that.
Well, that night I was just really fighting against it because for the whole 2 years that we knew each other, my stereotypes about Christians are slowly changing because you guys would always respond in a really loving way, and I was starting to see, this is the person that I read about in the Bible. This is, I think, how Jesus would have, if he existed, which I didn't want to admit at the time. This is how he would have been. This is exactly how he would have responded to everything I'm throwing. So over time, it's working on me, and I pray once in a while, and I just really, I told my ex-wife, like he said, she was a Christian. I said, it's almost like I'm experiencing God more as a porn producer than I did when I was a Christian, when I tried to be a Christian in my younger years. And so everything was working on me all at once, and that night was kind of my last little rebellion, I guess, I threw up on my blog, which was pretty popular. I write about my life as a porn producer and some of the things happening behind the scenes. And that night I was just like ranting for my final rant against Christianity and against God and why the Bible can't be true.
And so then you leave porn. We're floored by that, but then we know, okay, there's more than just getting this guy out of porn. And I'll never forget, man, I mean, the message is still on my voicemail. It comes up every 20-something days, and I have to say it again. And it's September 25th, right?
Right. Well,
tell me about that day.
That was the day after I wrote the blog entry, and the next day I was leaving Playboy's offices, and they just offered us an even bigger contract. They were giving us $1,000 a day to produce a new series for them, and I was just ecstatic about that. But on the way home, I just said, I cannot do this anymore. I just can't do it. And so I surrendered my life to God that day.
Yeah. Talk to me about that.
Well, I mean, even people in church can't seem to understand that once you actually have a real, true encounter with God, none of that stuff means anything. I was making $500,000 a year is what we paid ourselves, and now I work for car dealerships. I photograph their inventory and put it on the website. I live in a little studio apartment, all alone. So on that day, I said, God, I have a problem with all these doubts, but I want to just surrender my life to you and trust that you're going to answer my questions down the road, that you're going to take care of things. And right after I did that, it was just amazing the peace that I felt. And for some reason, I wanted to turn on K-Love, and I don't know why. But I turned on K-Love, and the song was finishing, and the very next song that started was When God Ran. And it was just it was God just saying, welcome back. And I just was overcome with goosebumps, and I couldn't stop crying. I mean, it wasn't coincidence.
Yeah, and that's the story that basically the prodigal son coming home and a transformed life. And we're not going to make Donny sing it, but the band behind us, I think, is going to sing that song.
Yeah, let's get off the stage and let these guys do that.